Angel of this mountain, the Evangelist at large, Isaac W. Artis, chairman of the board. To my elder brother, the Deacon Stephen of the church, Elder Sidney Turner. To the deacons, to the Church of God and Saints of Christ in general. I am truly indeed glad to be here on this another one of God's blessed and holy Sabbath days, to be able to stand and just say thank you for what God has done for me. I'm truly thankful Him for the traveling mercies for allowing me to make it here to Newark, New Jersey. I'm going to say something that I'm a little ashamed of. It's been 12 years since I've been here. So I need to make a little bit more trips because this is a tabernacle that I love. But I'm just glad that I was able to make it over the airways to this great city. Even through the little trial that I had to go through to get here, I'm just glad that God saw fit anyhow to allow me to make it safely. And that's one thing I don't take for granted. We know so many people, or hear about so many people, just watch the news, who just left their house that morning and never made it back. You have people who have got to work, but they never made it home from the job. You have so many things that could happen, but I thank God that it didn't happen to me. I thank God that I made it to another blessed and holy Sabbath day. 6 laboring days I got to fight with this sin-cursed world, but when I'm able to make it into the house of God, I got something to be thankful for. Just to give my testimony before we go into the word. On my way here, I booked my plane ticket for February 13th through the 16th. And even called the airline just to have a little bit of a confirmation. And they confirmed it's February 13th through the 16th. And then when I get to the airport, they said that my ticket is for March 13th through the 16th. So they said, you're a month early. And I said, no, y'all messed up something. But I thank God that even though they're saying, well, we might have to charge you extra. And by extra, they're talking about $1,000 extra just to get here. But God saw fit to soften somebody's heart to say, no, He did what He was supposed to do. Something happened with our system. We're going to send them along the way. Didn't have to pay an extra dime. And I thank God that I was able to make it to this city. Only God can do things like that. But if we leave it up to man, they're going to ring us up as much as they can. But when it's in God's hands, there's nothing you need to worry about. So I'm just truly thankful. Also thanking God for my wonderful tabernacle who is on YouTube with us on today. You know, they decided to give some support because this is something that's very, very nervous to me. But I thank God for the teaching that I have within the Church of God and Saints of Christ. And I would be remiss if I didn't say this. I thank God who is on the line for my wonderful wife on today and my 5 beautiful children. It says, happy is he whose quiver is filled with them. And my quiver is full on today. And I'm just so thankful that not only that I love this church, but I can teach my children the love of this church also. Because this church will save your life, saints. All we have to do is obey what the prophet of God said, and everything will be just fine. But I'm going to try not to be before you too long. But that's just me saying that. I don't know what the Spirit wants to do. But if you would go with me to St. John, the 20th chapter. And I'll be reading from the 19th verse through the 27th verse. So once again, that is St. John 20, 19 through 27. And as you're on your way there, I just want to thank the Lord for the Spirit that's in this place. Because all week long, this has been resonating with me. And then during the beginning of the Sabbath, as the pastor here preached about that true dedication, it just confirmed everything that was on my spirit. So St. John 20, starting at 19, says, then the same day at evening, being the first day of the week, when the doors were shut, where the disciples were assembled for fear of the Jews, came Jesus and stood in the midst, and saith unto them, peace be unto you. And when he had so said, he showed unto them his hands and his side. Then were the disciples glad when they saw the Lord. Isn't it a good thing to see Jesus? Amen. Then said Jesus to them again, peace be unto you. As my Father hath sent me, even so send I you. And when he had said this, he breathed on them, and saith unto them, receive ye the Holy Ghost. Whosoever sins ye remit, they are remitted unto them. And whosoever sins ye retain, they are retained. But Thomas, one of the 12, called Didymus, was not with them when Jesus came. The other disciples therefore said unto him, We have seen the Lord. But he said unto them, Except I shall see in his hands the print of the nails, and put my finger into the print of the nails, and thrust my hand into his side, I will not believe. And after 8 days again, his disciples were within, and Thomas with them. Then came Jesus, the doors being shut, and stood in the midst, and said, Peace be unto you. Then saith he to Thomas, Reach hither thy finger, and behold my hands, and reach hither thy hand, and thrust it into my side, and be not faithless, but believing. Sorry, we're going to the 29th verse. And Thomas answered and said unto him, My Lord and my God. And here's the kicker. The 29th says, Jesus saith unto him, Thomas, because thou hast seen me, thou hast believed. Blessed are they that have not seen and yet have believed. For a subject to entertain on today, where is the belief? As I was pondering over this chapter, that 25th verse really stuck out to me. Thomas, being one of the disciples of Jesus Christ, has seen the miracles of Jesus, has heard of the miracles of Jesus, walked with him all throughout the way. But one of his disciples, one of the ones that are real close to him now, said, Except I see the print in his nails, and I put my finger in the print of his nails, and I thrust my hand in my side, if you can't show me the evidence, I won't believe. And it makes me realize that sometimes us, within the Church of God and Saints of Christ, we're in here arrayed in our royal garments. We're in here hearing the sermon every single week, hearing about the miracles of Jesus Christ. But because we haven't seen certain things, we still won't believe. It makes me realize all the things that have gone throughout our lives, from a little child up until this present time. And we say it in our testimony all the time. I thank God for protecting me from dangers seen and unseen. But even though he protects us from those things, but because we haven't seen certain things, we still don't believe. Now just imagine if we were to see everything that goes on around us within our lives. If we see all the dangers, the unseen dangers now, we wouldn't set foot outside of our house. If we seen all those things, we'd be too afraid to send our children to school. We would all be thriving for remote jobs on today because we wouldn't want to deal with what's out there in this world. But because we have some sort of belief, we step out into that world asking God to protect us along the way. But even though we do those things, we do it because we're going out there to work for something. If I go to my job, I come home with a paycheck. If I go to the grocery store, I come home with some food. If I go to the doctor, the prayer is I come home with a good report. But because we believe we're going to obtain something, we go and do what we're supposed to do. But we're talking about Jesus now, who is a historical figure to the world, but he is my Savior to me. But I never seen Jesus face to face. I never seen what he physically looks like. But I have to believe in something if I want to be saved. And I don't want to be in the church my entire life and say, because I haven't seen the works of Jesus, I'm not going to believe anything this book has to say. But as I look back over my life and I think about that Psalms that says, he shall give his angels charge over thee to keep thee in all thy ways. I don't see these angels, but I feel protected for some reason. I don't see what's going on out there in this world, but I know somebody's guiding me every step of the way. The word says that the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord. That means the women also. So as long as you believe in something, Jesus Christ, you will make it to that destination. But don't think because you haven't seen something that you can't believe in it. And now think about it like this. We are called to be saints. We have been given a name that is better than of sons and of daughters. He says, I should give thee an everlasting name that shall not be cut off. Some people think we go by all sorts of others' names, but God said in Psalms 50:5, gather my saints together unto me, those that have made a covenant with me by sacrifice. And to be a saint means that you're sanctified, set aside, and made holy. But you've been called a saint by an unseen God. Who here has seen God's face? Who here has physically heard the voice of the Lord? We haven't seen it. We may not have heard it, but we believe in something. And if you don't believe in the Lord, then what's the purpose of belief? If we don't believe in the Lord, what's the purpose of having faith? If we don't believe in the Lord, what's the purpose of coming to church? Or what's the purpose of zooming in or being on YouTube when you have the opportunity to hear what thus saith the Lord? If you don't have some sort of belief, then everything we're doing is all in vain. But I thank my God that through all these things in my life, he has shown me how real he is. I don't need somebody to tell me who Jesus is now. I have enough experiences within my life to tell me who this great God is. As I was going through my life, a little boy of 9 years old contracted strep throat. And it got so bad that the doctor told my mother, if you didn't move sooner, this sickness would have killed your son. Now, it's something as a child I didn't understand it. But today, I thank God that he was with me. Now, I never seen God walk into the hospital with me, but there was a presence there that let me know that he was real. 8 years ago, when I was diagnosed with, at the time they told me, atrial fibrillation. But then 8 years later, I found out it was heart failure that I had. I didn't see God do anything to me, but there was a presence in that room that protected me for the next 7 to 8 years of my life. Now I've been given a good report. Everything that has happened, we can't tell that you even had this problem. I thank God for something like that because he didn't have to make it so. And I thank God that I didn't have to see him physically do it, but because of that belief, I was able to be healed. So I don't need to push my hands in his hands. I don't need to thrust my hand in his side. I don't need that kind of evidence. I know that he's real within my life. I don't want to be here all my life and say I need some evidence to know that this God is real. The heavens already declare the glory of the Lord. The first book in Genesis tells you that the Spirit of God is the reason why all these things happen. And I'm so glad that that Spirit has allowed me to be here today. That same Spirit has given me the breath of life on today. That same Spirit has brought me into the Church of God and Saints of Christ. That same Spirit has allowed me to be here for 32 years on this earth. That same Spirit has allowed me to just love the works of the Lord. And because of that Spirit, I don't need physical evidence. This isn't CSI now. Christ, I like how Deacon Russell said it, Christ scriptorial investigators. But I like when he put it like that, because if you study this word, you will see how real he is within our lives. So what I'm trying to say, saints, on today, is that trials and tribulations are here. We like to say that they're coming, but they're here. But through these trials and tribulations, God is always there with you. Jesus said, for lo, I am with you always, even until the end of the world. He lets you know, I will not leave you nor forsake you. He loved you so much that he left his heavenly throne and left that heavenly body, came down to this earth, preached the gospel of God, and then laid down his life for you. And I don't need some sort of evidence to show me that that's some kind of love. Just think about it, saints. The love of Jesus Christ. What does it say? It surpasseth all understanding. I don't need to understand certain things of God to know that he is real. The only thing I need to understand is that he's real within my soul. The only thing I need to understand is that he brought me into his house. The only thing I need to understand is that it is in him I live and move and have my being upon the earth. The only thing I need to know is that I can look at my brothers and I can say that I love you with a pure heart. The only thing I need to understand is that as long as this gospel is within me, then I'm going to live. It said, keep my commandments and live, and my law as the apple of thine eye. But don't let physical things stop you from doing what thus said the Lord. Let those spiritual things guide you. Because he says, and when he, the Spirit of truth, has come, he will guide you into all truth. That's all you need, saints. Believe, and thy soul shall live. All we need to do is just remember the name of Jesus Christ. Remember the one who said, prepare me a body that I might go down and redeem my people. Remember the one that when he was here didn't even have a place to lay his head, but he still carried out his Father's commandments. Remember the one that when there was 5,000 people that were hungry, and when you look at the records, it only says 5,000 men, but I believe the ratio for men to women is about 1 to 3, so there's probably about 15,000 people that were there, and he fed them all with 5 loaves of bread and 2 small fish. There's another one in there also where he fed another multitude of 4,000 people, Do the same type of math. You get about 12,000 people that he fed with just a little bit of food. But I thank God that they didn't need to see the evidence of what he had in store. The word already says that he will open up the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing so you don't have room enough to receive it. So sometimes the reason why you don't need the physical evidence, because sometimes what you see might fool you. I walk by a church and it looks like a little rinky-dinky church. Doesn't look like any kind of spirit is within that place. But just step into the house of God and you see how massive God is within this place. You see, he says, I fill heaven and earth. There's no place that you can build for God, but God has humbled himself so he can be with his people. This is the type of God that we serve. A God that loves you. A God that will guide you every step of the way. A God that will place his spirit within you. So what'd you say, Pastor? You can have that true dedication. If you can just do those things and just remember the name of the Lord, you will be fine. Just trust the Redeemer. Just trust in God. Just trust in the Father. Just trust in the Spirit. Just trust in the Word. Just trust in this God. Just trust in the Spirit. Just trust in God. And if you trust in the Lord, you shall be as Mount Zion, which cannot be removed. I don't care how much the devil fights you in this world. If you got God with you, you're going to be just fine. All those people who don't listen to God, Jesus already said who they are. He said, ye are of your father the devil, and the lusts of your father ye will do. But he told us who we are. He said, you are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a peculiar people. And because I know, let me say that again, because I know. So I don't need anybody to tell me, because I know. You don't need somebody to tell you if you're going to make it or not, because you know. You don't need somebody to tell you what's going on, because you know. You don't need somebody to try to carry you along the way, because you know that God is real. You will know that all things are going to be just fine. All you got to do is trust the Redeemer. Don't worry about all these things that may discourage you out there in this world. You have Jesus Christ. And as long as you have it, he said, I'll be with you every step of the way. As long as you believe in Jesus, he's going to carry you all this way. Just look at, I love how the pastor said it on last night. The dedication of the saints of old. Didn't matter what they had. Didn't matter how much food was in the refrigerator. Didn't matter about the clothes that they had. They had the dedication to still do for God. You don't need a lavish house to say God has been good. You don't need a luxurious car to say God has been good. You don't need a 7-figure salary to say God has been good. Howbeit all those things will be nice. You don't need them to say God has been good. Because the fact that you woke up this morning, God has been good. The fact that you have a right mind today, God has been good. The fact that you made it into God's house on his blessed and holy Sabbath day, God has been good. So the devil can't tell you otherwise. Because the devil has to punch the clock just like the rest of us. Because everything happens by the will of God. So he's just out there doing his job. But you have been given something that is greater than any kind of spirit, because you have the Spirit of God with you. What does it say? Now unto him that is able to do exceeding abundantly above all we can ask or think. And here's the part I love. According to the power that worketh in you. Saints, you have power on today. Thank you. You don't have to thank me, thank God. You have power on today. The devil tried to tell you don't have any power. About 3 weeks ago, I was sick with the same thing also. But I still had to get up and say, God, I thank you for allowing me to make it one more day. Because if God doesn't allow it to happen, then it's just not going to happen. All things happen by the power of the Lord. But don't be like Thomas, who needs the evidence to believe in Jesus Christ. And here's the thing that gets me about Thomas. He walked with him. He saw him. He saw the things that he did. So if somebody told me, hey, Jesus did a miracle and I wasn't there, I would have believed it. But some of us in this life, we need hard facts every single time. If we haven't seen it, we just won't believe it. But I thank God, like I said, for the examples within my life. And we all should thank God for the examples in all of our life that lets him know that he is real within our soul. Just trust in God. So the question I asked earlier is, where is the belief? The belief is inside of you. The belief has always been inside of you. Because every time you get down and you get low, Some people may try to encourage you, but something just won't get you back up. But then you remember how good he was. And all of a sudden, your legs stop being weak. And then you continue to remember the things that he's done for you. And then all of a sudden, your back straightens out. Then all of a sudden, you remember how he blessed you just the other day. And now you start to hold your head up high. And then you remember how good he's been to all those that's been around you. And then you start to lift your hands and say, Lord, I thank you for everything that he has done. Because that belief is in you, you know that every step that you take is ordered by the Lord. Don't let anybody try to tell you, oh, if you follow my example, you will get to this place in life. No, if I follow God's example, I'm going to get exactly where he needs me to be. We make plans. Plans are wonderful. I'm not telling anybody not to plan. But always remember that if it doesn't go that way, it's because God didn't want you to go that direction. And we shouldn't be upset at God because it didn't go the way we wanted it to go. We should be thankful that God could have protected us from something that we didn't see was coming. I think about it all the time. I want to make more of this, or I want to do more of that. Why aren't these things happening? Haven't I been faithful to you? Why won't you do these things for me? See, now my belief is starting to diminish now because I'm starting to question him. But then when I start to think about it, maybe something was down the road that was waiting to destroy me, and God took me out of that so I didn't lose my belief. Maybe the reason why I'm not driving the type of vehicle I might want to drive, because maybe I might have gotten a little silly on the road, and it could have taken me out of this world. Because I didn't believe in what God had for me. But I'm just so thankful that where I'm standing right now, regardless of the trials and the tribulations, God still shows up right when I need it. Just to get a little transparent, when I got to the city wondering how I'm going to make some things work when I get back home. But I said, you know what, Lord? It's in your hands. Whatever's going on, it's in your hands. And when I get back to Peoria, I'll figure it out then. But as soon as I set foot in the city, somebody grabbed me by the arm and they said, I have a blessing for you, and blessed me with something that I was not expecting. I needed this much of a blessing. He gave me this much of a blessing. All because I said, I leave it in your hands. And I'm just so thankful for that belief. The word tells us faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. And I saw the evidence that I needed. The evidence was there when he showed up right on time. Me wondering how something was going to happen, he still showed up just on time. And what I love about the Lord is that he doesn't necessarily wait for you to believe to show you that he's there. Like I said, I had a little bit of doubt going on. And when he showed up, it renewed my faith. And that's what we really have to thank God for. Because there are trials and tribulations and all sorts of mess that we go throughout this life. Being human, what does it say? Man that is born of a woman is of a few days and full of trouble. But because he is God, that's all that you need to know. Because he is God. That's all you need to remember. Because he is God. He will get you to where you need to go. And he will renew your strength when you need that renewal. He will raise you up when you need to be risen up. He will strengthen you when you need to be strengthened. He will give you back that belief when you need it most. And we need it every single day of our lives. Because the devil is as a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. But as long as you got Jesus with you, that's all the evidence that you need. As long as he's real within your soul, that's all you need to know, that God has truly been with his people. So saints, I'm just admonishing you one more time. Don't wait for that physical evidence. Just know that he's real within your soul. God bless you and keep you is my prayer.